don't talk about these races with the benefit of hindsight, ever, if I can. I like to avoid it because a lot of bad actions can be chalked up to simply stupidity. But in those few hundred milliseconds where something has happened, trying to come up with every possible solution and picking the best one is simply impossible for most players, and just surviving is hard enough as it is. The typical mind fallacy is the tendency for us to model the logic of others similarly to our own, when regularly that is not the case at all. We all started playing Wreckfest knowing nothing about the game, or very little at best. Having experience in other racing games and watching a few videos does not compare to actually playing the game and being in those situations. Not knowing a certain set of facts is not the same as stupidity. I've noticed a lot of comments on my channel and sort of Reddit and such that generally come up to lol, clean racing in Wreckfest. Go play Forza, iRacing or Assetto Corsa, etc, etc. Well, the semi-clean servers here are often cleaner than something like Forza, and Wreckfest is certainly more casual than something like iRacing. But I suppose I should cater to the majority of the Wreckfest community, which is not clean racers. So let's see how I drive in a normal Wreckfest server. This is the Anatomy of Wreckfest. Let's get started. Straight away you'll have noticed that we have short shifted. We've dropped right the way down to nearly 4,000 RPM, which is still in the power band for this car, but very low. I've done this so that I can put a bit of distance on the two cars in front of me, which are, let's be honest, scary. Hopefully this will open up some opportunities, because they're probably going to try something first corner. You know, some good crashes to get the race started. We're also going to dash far left on the track. This will give us a wider angle into the first corner, and hopefully more opportunities. It'll also assert us to the Super Venom. Hopefully we'll be able to get an edge on him. We do accelerate quicker than him to 60, and we're not going to get much over 60 by the first corner. Okay, this is one of those situations where it's very difficult to lose a sense of what's happening in the race. Let's drop back a little bit and have a little look at all of the information we can get. I'll play it in slow motion so that you can see more. Okay, well, I think that's made all of the information we need quite clear. This hearse is booking it into the first corner. This is going to open up an opportunity on the right-hand side of him. I don't really know how far he's going to go into the corner, what with there being, 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 cars there that he's got to drive through. But I should still be able to cut into his right-hand side. He has lots of armour on. That's actually one of the heaviest setups for that car in the game. So he is going to go deep into the corner. We also have the Super Venom on our right-hand rear corner. He can't turn into us any harder than he is, so he's not going to spin us out or be any more of a threat than, well, what he's doing now. We're going quicker as well, so we'll get past him, no worries. This is what I like to coin as being in a different race to the other players. Obviously that's not true. There is still a hearse to my left and there is still a limo to my front, but I'm going so much faster I can take control of any player I want to, and they won't be able to react to me in any decent amount of time. If I hit someone though, with my very light armour, I'm going to take a decent chunk of damage, but I can see a clear route emerging for me left of that rocket, which is also the meta racing line on this track, so that'll put me at a better advantage still when I get to the top of the hill. These situations are rarer in clean or semi-clean servers, and the benefits of them are far less, obviously, because the players are on average 2 or 3 seconds faster, depending on the track and the players, of course. Okay, we have a potentially bad situation developing. There is still a hearse and limo behind me, so I need to start getting around this corner before they can turn me into some scrap metal folded around a tree to my front. I've not checked what they are, so I don't know for certain, but I've got a feeling they're close. We have another issue though. The Grand Duke and Mud Digger to my front are very tight on the corner. I'm going quite quick still as well, so I need to bleed off some speed so I don't get pushed to the outside of the corner and off the track by those two. I'm going to do this by trying to spin the car in front of me. It probably won't spin him, but that's not the objective. I want to lose momentum. I can also tap the brakes, which, if done at the right time, will shoot him off to the left, putting him on the outside of the track, allowing me to control where he is. But we'll still be behind the Duke and Digger and in front of the hearse and limo. This is a very small window where I am actually safe, and I need to be super aware of my surroundings so I don't get taken out. Well, I was either very lucky or I read more into what was happening than was actually there. That limo could have easily taken me out, but he chose not to. Strange for a limo, with his armour especially. There is still no guarantee that he'll be nice though. That's why I've come into this corner as wide as possible. This will make it detrimental to him to use me around the corner. Sure enough, we see him and I start turning hard left to make it still more difficult for him to use me getting around the corner. This will also mean that my car is less able to rotate if he does decide to steer into me, because I'm steering away already. My car's centre of mass is shifted against him, and it'll take more effort for him to turn me. Okay, we're past the big and scary ones, now to deal with the faster ones. First is a decent way ahead. Back markers might slow him down a bit, but we'll have to see. The buggy to my left has very soft suspension, which takes away quite a bit from its only advantage being cornering ability. He's also just punted me, but turned away when he hit me, so he probably doesn't want to spin me, even though he could have done so with the help of the rocket pushing me left quite easily. I'm going to try to punch past both of them, brake quite late, and then shift down, and hopefully cut inside of the rocket. The buggy will probably try the same, so if it goes to plan, I'll be in the middle of the two of them, making spinning the rocket easy if I need to, or just fancy it. He is quite heavily armoured. Okay, well, that didn't really play out exactly as I wanted it to. I'm now behind both of them because I braked a little bit too late. What advantages do I have now, though? Well, speed, of course. We've been going wider in the turn, and we've been going straight for about half a second or so now. And I'm in a Venom. It's one of, if not the fastest accelerating cars in the game. I'm also quite heavy compared to the buggy, but I see a more tasty situation than just cutting through both of them or spinning out the buggy. If I spin the buggy out right, given where these two will be in the next second or so coming into the next corner, if I can do it correctly, I'll spin one player into the other. Let's see if I can pull that off. Perfect, that worked out exactly as I wanted to. I'm now going to ram the rocket, putting him in the wall. Because the buggy is turning right, chances are he'll follow him into the wall, and they'll both lose a load of speed. I might take some damage doing this, but that's going to be negligible compared to what's gained doing it. The Panther who was in front of me turned away just as I clipped him. That was very lucky, because had he have not turned away, I would have spun around him with no ability to control anything. It's possible he turned away because he saw what happened with those two and didn't want to be corner bombed. I doubt it though. It was probably just him correcting his line. I'm about to make a huge mistake. Let's watch it first. I'll give you a second to figure out what it was that I did wrong. We turned left rather than held the right-hand turn. We knew the car was rolling backwards after the player in front had hit him, and I even realised the mistake and turned right actually into the car in panic. What's that thing about hindsight being 2020? Okay, sitrep. We've taken pretty bad brakes and suspension damage and quite light gearbox and engine damage. The Hunter Panther managed to overtake us again, but I'm more focused on the damage at the moment. The suspension and brakes being damaged isn't too much of an issue. The suspension might get annoying with some corners, but generally it won't be too much of a problem. The handbrake is more useful in this car than the normal brakes, so the brakes being damaged is reasonably fine. The engine and gearbox, though, is a bit of a problem. I'm going to miss gears now because I can't shift properly, which is going to be a bit of a pain. And my engine being less powerful takes away from the only advantage that I had before, which was power. Fortunately, the two cars behind me seem to have hit or had problems with that other car that was destroyed. So we're not going to get overtaken by those two. They're not going to be happy with us either. This is kind of bad. I don't want to overtake this mud digger, considering he just tried to crash into the player in first. I don't want to give away my momentum advantage to the Panther though, because it'll be hard to keep that and get it back being damaged fairly badly. I'm going to try and cut inside of them. He's on the inside of the corner, so he'll be wider on the exit. I've got to be careful of the Panther though, he could try to spin me. Well, that was not what I wanted to happen. My car is basically ruined now. The front suspension is destroyed, which will make bumps very jagged, and my suspension is also tuned to be hard, so it'll be even worse. The engine is also ruined, but thankfully my gearbox is comparatively well off. A red gearbox makes shifting very hard. Watch now how I shift by changing gear and then hitting the clutch. I think the engine damage has probably lost me the race by this point. The suspension damage, I can deal with that, but the lack of power I've got against the rocket means I've just got no ability to fight him, really. This car is also bouncing all over the place under bumps because of the suspension, but still that can be dealt with by steering more aggressively. Bit of a shorter video today. I think from this I've learned to use far more caution while driving in these servers. I could just go a little slower. I did set the best lap on that last lap, partly because it was my first truly free lap, but also because I was quite committed. Had I have not hit that mud digger and gone slower or braked so the Panther hit him, I might have been able to get the win, but it would have been hard given the amount of time I would have lost doing something like that. A bit of front armour won't go amiss next time, because that would have helped a lot. I'll replay the race as usual so you can see my decision making in real time. Thank you for watching, I hope you've enjoyed the video.